Have you personally had experience with gun violence?
Is that a yes?
67 and 68, I was there for the Tet Offensive. I've seen what guns do in Vietnam, and if you go to a meat counter, you can get meat that's sliced with a sharp knife and cut, but that's not what bullets do. Bullets rip, and they tear, and they shred.
My father was a gun lover, as was his brother, and his brother murdered him in 1991. My father had been in bed. They were having a business dispute, and basically my story is a one gunshot has an exponential ripple that impacts thousands of lives. And the impact of my father's death, it destroyed the lives of everyone in my family. I'm the oldest of 8. And I'm really grateful that finally this awareness is coming out, that problem we have with glamorizing guns in our society. It's really frustrating. I almost didn't want to come today because it's just still so painful even 27 years later. But early on, the biggest statement we could make in our family was to support the Brady Bill, and really grateful for all the work that they've done over the years. But it's a really emotional subject, and it's galling how many people feel empowered to tell me that I'm wrong to feel that guns are a problem when my father was murdered.
The students I teach face gun violence every day. We do talk about gun violence. We talked about how do you feel about guns? How have guns impacted your life? If you could change anything about our laws, what would you do? And some of our kids have talked about safe and sane laws, getting guns out of neighborhoods, making sure guns can't come to schools, getting rid of semi-automatic weapons. There was one student, and I won't say their name, but this student was going to a liquor store to buy some snacks with his cousin, and his cousin happened to be wearing the wrong colors in the wrong neighborhood. And because he was wearing the wrong colors in the wrong neighborhood, he was assaulted by a gang member, and his cousin passed away. So my student saw his cousin die in an alleyway in cold blood, murdered in cold blood, for wearing the wrong colors in the wrong neighborhood.
Well, we've experienced gun violence right in my community of Thousand Oaks. We lost a mother, 32 years old, in the Vegas shooting. She had 2 small children. She was from Thousand Oaks. She was there with her husband. She died in her husband's arms at the Las Vegas shooting. And we just had a shooting at Thousand Oaks Mall on Saturday.
I lost one of the teachers at my school to the Vegas shooting. We also lost a fellow Manhattan Beach Police Department officer, and also a really close family friend of ours was at Vegas. Luckily, she made it out alive, so we're thankful to have her with us still.
She's very scarred though. Was definitely in an area where she was covered in body parts and dead bodies, and is very traumatized by the situation.
I am a survivor of the Route 91 shooting in Las Vegas. It happened October 1st, 2017 at about 10:06 p.m. Across from Mandalay Bay, where we were shot at like we were, like roaches on the ground that he was shooting at. I was working the show too. I work in production in the music industry. So I was backstage when it happened. I was on the phone ordering loadout food for our crew because I was a production coordinator for the lighting, video, audio company. And I'm on the phone ordering sandwiches, and then all of a sudden I heard something that sounded like fireworks. We all kind of joked about it. We're like, oh, some idiot is shooting off fireworks. It was over the radio, and then all of a sudden it didn't stop. And then that moment we knew something serious was happening. My production manager ran out of the office. I stayed in the office. I thought somebody was on the ground shooting because of the way it sounded. I was hiding on the ground with the production case blocking the trailer door, and then for some reason I had an out-of-body experience, and for some reason something told me, you got to get out of here. So I opened the door, shell grazed my arm from the bullet, and I saw one of the guys I work with. He got a call on his radio because he was on a different channel telling us to run out of the production gate 8. I didn't think twice, surprisingly, and I ran, and we ran across the back of the stage. I told myself not to look out into the crowd. Jason Aldean and his people were running down as we were running out. We made it out as we were running out towards like a back lot somewhere. These people were running behind us saying there's a shooter on the ground, there's a shooter on the ground. I guess the trailer I was in had massive amounts of gunshots in it. I guess I got out right in time. Honestly, how do you ever know now? Like even in this moment right here, aren't you kind of scared? Like we're like could be possible victims. There's all these spots, like nobody thought that you would get shot at from above like Route 91. Just like those kids in Parkland, they were just in school like getting ready to get let out and then they got shot at. Like it's horrible.
We've seen shootings since before my life started. Shootings starting in Columbine, really, that opened our eyes at schools. And then we've seen events like Newtown. We've seen shootings like what happened in Orlando, what happened in Sutherland Springs, Texas, and obviously now what happened in Florida. And I don't think that any of those people had to die. So I think it's anger at the fact that we've already lost too many young lives, too many people who had promising futures ahead of them. We shouldn't have to live in a society where the guarantee of safety for us is to have clear backpacks on. That's something that we need to be safe. I think it's a little ridiculous that it's come to that point. Now, is it a temporary solve to a very long-term issue? It's a temporary solution to a long-term issue. And ultimately, I think that the only way that we're going to be able to prevent gun violence isn't through clear backpacks, isn't through armed guards. It's going to be through finding who guns need to not be in the hands of and keeping those guns from getting in their hands.